Everest, the world's tallest peak. It's the pinnacle of climbing, the ultimate challenge. Yeah! Attracting hundreds of mountaineers from dozens of countries every year.
The magnitude of this mountain is not lost on anyone. You're surrounded by all this pure magnificence.
But Everest's call comes with a price.
Getting up to the top is like clutching the Holy Grail, but it is life or death up here.
Now, when the mountain strikes, climbers have a lifeline. The Alpine Rescue Service, Everest's very first high-altitude rescue team.
It's medicines, it's mountains, it's chaos.
Patrolling the slopes of Everest, the Alpine Rescue Service will push the limits of man.
Hopefully, Gavin will make it through the night.
And machine.
We just need helicopter up, all right?
Higher and farther than any rescue crew has ever gone before.
This is a dangerous place.
Risking their lives to save climbers on the greatest adventure ever. This is Everest Air.
Hey Gordo, it's Jeff. Hey, what's the latest radio report from these guys?
Everest Base Camp to Sherpa Rescue Team.
How's the wind up there, Anna? That's good. We were worried about you boys. Good to your safe, Anna.
2 weeks into the Everest climbing season, the ARS Sherpa Rescue Team takes up temporary residence at Camp 2 as climbers continue their high-altitude acclimatization runs. It will be several weeks before they're ready to attempt the summit. The route to the top takes climbers from base camp through the Khumbu Icefall, up the western Khum to camps 1 and 2.
So now I am going to show you the mountain, which is the dreams of many people all around the world.
From there, they climb 4,000 vertical feet up the Lhotse face, a sheer wall of ice that runs past Camp 3, ending on the south col at Camp 4.
Camp 4. Weather is very wet.
Once there, climbers are in the death zone, where the human body begins to actively break down due to a lack of oxygen. Climbers can survive only a few days above 26,000 feet. From Camp 4, the climbers push to Everest's summit, 3,035 feet away, battling oxygen deprivation, hypothermic temperatures, and a host of potentially lethal ailments. Climbers must reach the top and descend before their bodies give out.
Gordo, I've got a bird spinning so I can barely hear anything, but...
What do you got going on up there?
Okay, so we do have a report of a gentleman with a broken leg in the icefall.
That's all the information we have. Over.
But is he still in the middle of the icefall right now?
It's going to be, logistically challenging.
To land the bird up at...
We found out literally 30 seconds ago. Information is really
So a helicopter rescue in the ice fall? Are you kidding me?
The Khumbu Icefall is one of, if not the, most dangerous features on Mount Everest.
Straight up, it's scary going through the ice fall. I don't care how good of a climber you are. It's just Russian roulette.
With every risky step, climbers must navigate through a maze of ancient, angular thrusts of ice. Complicating matters, the icefall is a living glacier that moves inches each day as it flows down Everest and into the Khumbu Valley.
Slowly, slowly.
It is legendary for crevasses so deep they defy measurement and require ladders to cross them.
Oh boy. How are we doing, Cap? You about ready? This morning, we are going to fly with Niesel, one of the most accomplished pilots in the country.
Captain Nichelle KC is one of ARS's 3 Nepali pilots, a 15-year veteran of the Khumbu Valley and Everest. He's flown search and rescue all over the world, including the United States. Captain Nichelle will need calm weather when he attempts to land in the icefall. The fissures in the icefall cause wind to increase speed and rapidly shift direction. Volatile conditions that make landing a helicopter virtually impossible. Only once before, during the 2015 earthquake rescue effort at base camp, has a helicopter successfully landed in the Khumbu icefall. And that attempt almost ended in a crash.
We're going to get locked on board. Please tell us that.
Jeff will wait at base camp. Captain Nichelle is bringing an experienced set of eyes who knows the icefall and the exact location of the injured climber, a retired doctor from England.
He's going to go somewhere and land in the middle of the icefall?
Yeah.
Is it the big plateau?
Now it's lower.
The critical patient has been moved to the only spot wide enough to land a helicopter in the icefall, the football field, a relatively flat opening surrounded by giant walls of ice.
That is sick. That's nuts.
Patient data here. Please watch the signs.
Landing a helicopter in the icefall is what I would liken to driving a car down a super narrow alleyway with an inch on either side. And then, by the way, the walls of that alley are sharp and are threatening to fall in on you at any second. Oh my. Oh, that's nuts.
The wind's getting a little choppy.
behind the Serac.
Oh, I've never seen anything like that.
Careful. 3 feet from the wall. Hang on. We're going down.
How crazy is that?
Oh my God. He's gonna go land in the middle of the ice fall?
ARS has received a call to bring an injured climber suffering from a broken leg out of the legendary and incredibly dangerous Khumbu Icefall.
Patient dead ahead.
He was behind the Serac.
Oh, that's nuts.
This is only the second time that a helicopter has attempted to land in the Khumbu Icefall.
Slow. Come on, behind.
Captain Nishal Casey must slowly lower the helicopter while avoiding the ice walls and deep crevasses lining the ground. Captain Nishal makes constant micro adjustments to combat the winds and keep the helicopter in place. The patient needs to be loaded quickly. Every second on the ground is a risk for everyone. Any big gust of wind can push the helicopter several feet into the walls of ice. Captain Nishal must lift off straight up so his blades don't hit the ice walls.
There he is! Crazy. Oh, Diesel, I'm buying you a beer tonight, dude.
I witnessed a lot of extractions in my time. I've never seen anything like that.
Unclear. Inbound with injured climber.
He's a Indian British guy who fell, right? And you know how old he is, approximately? Captain Nishal's an incredible pilot, but it's all for nothing if we don't get this guy down to the medical care that he needs.
Jeff can now assess the patient's broken leg.
Hey, my name's Jeff. What did you injure? It's your head?
Captain, what do you know about it? Only that his name is Ahmed.
Okay, I was told you had an extremity injury. So it's your head.
HACE, or high-altitude cerebral edema, is when the brain swells with fluid because the body has failed to acclimatize properly to high altitudes. If not caught immediately, the patient can slip into a potentially lethal coma.
Have you taken any medicine? When did you take the death?
Dexamethasone, or Dex as it is commonly known, is a steroid used by mountaineers to combat cerebral swelling caused by altitude-related illness. Dex will provide relief from Amit's cerebral swelling, but its effects are only temporary. The only cure for haste, descent to a lower altitude.
Captain, this guy needs to be out of here.
Just about to leave.
Anything altitude related, it's all about coming down minimum 3,000 feet as quickly as you possibly can. And that's the joy of having a helicopter that can get you down 3,000 feet in, less than 5 minutes.
The helicopter is fueled, giving Jeff time to assess how a drop in 6,300 feet is affecting Amit before he flies down to a climbing hospital in Kathmandu.
Well, it was one of those moments where I thought I was coming in, you're going to have your femur sticking out of your leg. I'm glad that didn't happen, and I'm glad to see you alive and you have a smile on your face. Go see your family. Give me a hug, man. I'm glad you get. No, you don't. Just stay down. Stay down. I want you to stay down. A good part of what we're doing here is we're taking patients from these assaulting, rough environments and taking them down to the sort of environment where it's easier for the body to then do its normal work of healing.
It's my third attempt on Everest. Not summited yet. I think when you're a father, father mode kicks in first. I think I'm done with Everest.
Amit knows that there's bigger things than the biggest mountain in the world. Family, you know? So when we're in between rescues, I am not a real sit-around kind of guy. I gotta go expend some energy. So I ain't gonna lie to you, it's tough being away from my wife and my kid. It's really the little things, you know, but I'm here for a reason, and I'm here to do good, and it's something that I try and reinforce to my son, is to be of service to other people, and it's not just words, it's actions. Woo! I love this place. What a view.
As the sun sets on the Khumbu Valley, climbers and rescue Sherpa alike rest and recuperate. They'll continue their climb in the early morning when the cold temperatures ensure the greatest stability of the snowpack.
this area.
Oh, okay. Look, I'm gonna climb, maybe across here with the good weather. Is that okay?
Preparations are underway for another rescue. 2 valleys over from Lukla, in the village of Bung, a sick Nepali needs advanced medical care.
Do I need to call anybody at the hospital, let them know I'm coming in?
And 28-year-old American pilot Chris Creamer is assigned to the call. This mission is part of the Himalayan rookie's training before he can fly missions on Mount Everest.
I started flying when I was 20 years old. My first flight in a helicopter was actually with my uncle, who's flown helicopters his whole life. I was hooked. I sold everything I had and whatever I had to do to figure out how to make a career out of flying. I'm ready to get to work and get some stuff done. Are we unloading there? We're unloading there? Okay, all this? Ramrod, and we're unloading all this there?
Yeah.
The old poultry circuit. So they put in there like, we've got a sick patient and we need some beers? I have yet to see a helicopter go up or down the valley that didn't have at least one of the following on board. A chicken, potatoes, garlic, onion, rum, or beer.
The supplies will provide sustenance for the inhabitants of Bung until the next resupply run.
I'd be ready. We're coming up to 100%. This is somebody's love. That's right. Let's do it, buddy.
ARS has learned that Nima Sherpa is suffering from acute pneumonia. Marked by deep valleys and jagged ridgelines, the Khumbu region is inaccessible by motorized vehicles, aside from helicopters. Narrow yak paths connect the remote villages that dot the countryside.
Chris and I are just basing our destination off of the topography of the land.
Last year, yeah. You see a lot of this places with whole mountains by this.
In April of 2015, Nepal was rocked by a 7.8 earthquake near Kathmandu, Nepal's largest city. Although the earthquake triggered several massive avalanches on Everest, it was the capital city and rural villages that suffered the most damage, claiming thousands of lives and leaving the country in ruins. The effects are still seen today, and it is affecting Chris and Jeff's ability to locate the village and the waiting sick Nepali.
God, dog, man. Right? Okay, so see the little delay out. That is where we're heading. Yeah. Alright, cool. There's your patient walking this way.
I was very auspicious that somebody in that community had a whole climbing oxygen system. I'm not sure otherwise how he would have received oxygen, and he needed oxygen. Do you have a fever? Is he hot? Oh, yeah. Go ahead and take this oxygen off. I'll use mine.
As Jeff learns about Nima's condition, The locals unload their supplies and add some of their own for the trip back to Lukla.
Go ahead and get him in. We can't take him more. We gotta take a patient, man. We don't have enough room to get other stuff in here. Now, I know the locals rely on helicopters as a lifeline to other villages, but not when we have a sick kid. The kid has to take precedence. He's not moving good enough oxygen, and he's at around 11,000 feet, and he's not getting the proper care. So we got to get this kid to the hospital ASAP, and even just getting him down a couple thousand feet to the Lukla hospital is going to help him tremendously. This kid doesn't speak a lick of English, so hopefully this guy can help translate at least a little bit. Chris, it's your call, man. Okay, we'll try. We're gonna try, okay? But that's all. Close me up.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. Not by much, but we're good. Yeah, he doesn't look like he's doing too hot. Yeah, he's sick, there's no doubt.
Can't listen to lungs, while the helicopter's just, crashing. So I can see he's hungry for oxygen, He's kind of doing that. And that tells me, obviously he's got something going on in his respiratory system.
Excuse me, who are you?
I'm his neighbor. I look after him when his father is gone.
We need to get him to the hospital. How far to Lukla? It's just over the ridge.
With Lukla in sight, Nima is minutes away from the advanced care he needs.
Yeah, we're coming in. Got an eye on Lukla. We're going straight to the hospital.
The ARS has responded to a call from a nearby village where Nima Sherpa, a young Nepali man, is suffering from acute pneumonia.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's doing too hot. Oh.
For American pilot Chris Creamer, the mission is part of his Himalayan flight training.
First time I'd ever heard horns going off in the middle of mid-flight. Medicine's my gig, helicopter's not my gig. You know what I do know is that they crash. I don't want this one to crash.
Since I'm descending so fast, the rotor RPM started getting up towards the max continuous limit.
Chris's voice was calm. He's just fine. He's like, it's fine, bro. No problem. But I'm definitely going to say a little prayer when my feet finally hit the ground.
I may be new here, but the key to flying in Everest is to keep a cool head and stay calm and just be calculated with your decisions.
As I rolled the patient into the emergency department, I could hear his left lung was crackling and poppy.
Hello.
So, Fever's Dr. Casey. Hi. So, this young man, his left lung sounds really nasty. Dr. KC, you think it's a pneumonia? Turns out this fella has epigastric pain and some throat pain. That's the way it kind of started 4 days ago. His respiratory system was fighting this infection. He was very sick and needs some high-level care. It's a good way to start a day. It's, 8 o'clock in the morning, so, good morning.
After weeks of clear skies, the Himalayan weather has turned. Heavy clouds descend on the mountain. On the icy slopes near Camp 3, the ARS is bringing a Norwegian climber down to Camp 2, their highest rescue of the season. To extract an incapacitated climber from Camp 3, rescue Sherpas must lower their patient down the Lhotse face, a sheer wall of ice, using ropes and technical equipment. One false step could send a climber and rescuers plummeting hundreds of feet straight down. A veteran of the Himalaya, Una Presthout was making her first expedition up Everest when she fell ill.
What we've got is a Norwegian climber with extreme level of high altitude cerebral edema, which means her brain is swelling, there's lack of oxygen, so it's a classic case of what high altitude climbing can do for you. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Gordo. Talk to me, man. What do you got going on up there?
Okay, so the Norwegian lady, and basically she has severe headaches, vomiting, diarrhea, walking around. The symptoms came on at Camp 3, so they brought her down to Camp 2, and they've got oxygen on her, but the symptoms have not subsided.
Okay, so the ceiling down here is very low, but what's your impression? Do we need to evac her today?
She's getting it today, immediately. She's very weak. The Sherpa barely got her to Camp 2. She's not moving now.
We'll see what's up at the heliport, and I'll call you back as soon as we get a good beat on her.
The powerful A-Star B3 has made high-altitude rescues possible on Mount Everest. But even this workhorse has limitations. Per safety regulations, the helicopter is not permitted to go much farther than Camp 2.
And what's the weather doing at Camp 2?
Well, it was about an hour ago. Bad weather was starting to drop from 3 down.
With dense clouds surrounding Lukla, the helicopters remain grounded for the time being, stranding Una at Camp 2.
Our guys at base camp are upset too.
Oh, we're just going to have to get them to sit tight and get us stable, and we'll get up there as soon as we can. It's up to the Himalayas now.
Her health continues to deteriorate, failing to improve after descending over 2,500 feet from Camp 3 to 2. Una needs to get off Everest to have any hope of surviving. High on Mount Everest, the ARS Rescue Sherpa team has brought a sick Norwegian climber down from Camp 3 to Camp 2, their highest rescue of the season so far. Suffering from altitude-related issues, Una Prestholt is unable to move any further. A helicopter is her only option to receive the advanced medical care she needs. The weather has halted flights from Lukla, delaying the mission. The delay has the ARS Sherpas at Camp 2 worried because Una's condition did not improve with the descent from Camp 3 to 2.
Mark, I have a question for you. If the weather gets bad at Camp 2 and we can only get to Camp 1, is it going to be possible to move our patient from Camp 2 to Camp 1?
Right now, I don't think so.
Weather on Everest is volatile and localized. Different camps on the mountain can experience different conditions simultaneously, and weather pockets can shift rapidly.
Once we know that the weather is cleared in Lukla, I'll contact you and we will work out a plan, over? Base camp's fine. And anyone sitting here would say, why aren't we going up there? At the moment we have a critical patient that is progressing through the stages of high altitude sickness, but Lukla's weather conditions have socked in, it's teeming with rain.
Hey Anthony, it's Jeff. We just got word that the airport's still shut down, so we're calling it for the night.
Yeah, copy.
So let's go ahead and give her 250 milligrams of Diamox right now. Hold on the decks. Find that line up there between allowing her to rest, but then also making sure she continues to be rousable, right?
Okay.
But we will literally be spooling up at 6 a.m. Copy?
Okay.
Overnight, the weather has partially cleared after blanketing Everest in fresh snow and Lukla in rain. Jeff and Captain Andrew Gutzel prepare to depart for Camp 2 to pick up their critical Norwegian climber who made it through the night.
Mima, copy. This is base camp. He said
The ARS Sherpa rescue team has found a second patient at Camp 2 in need of medical care. A climbing Sherpa, bleeding from the nose.
stand by. I'm just going to give Jeff a call and I'll be back on the radio in a couple of minutes. Over.
Hey, it's Jeff.
We have a 19-year-old Sherpa from Seven Summits that came down from 3 to 2. Woke up bleeding through his nose, convulsing, headache, cannot walk.
Okay, good copy. So here's what I want you to do. Let's go back to Una, the Norwegian gal. Let's go ahead and give her another 250 of Diamox this morning and stay off the decks with her. But I want you to go ahead and give him a dex injection now.
Okay, just stand by. Okay, let's have Jeff on the telephone, and he is advised that you will need to give the Sherpa 4 milligrams of dexamethasone. Copy.
Yeah, how will do that?
Mark the time that it was administered. Keep him on oxygen.
When Dex is taken, the patient has less than 6 hours to descend, or the swelling caused by altitude sickness will return.
Okay, man.
We should be there under 45 minutes, I would imagine.
I need the snow mark, though, before I can come up.
Did you get a confirmation that they've gone out and done their 25 meters north and south?
We asked them to stomp out some good visual references in the snow and mark the snow.
I have not covered that yet.
We
just need to get it.
Helicopter up here because it's like perfect conditions now.
Yeah, so before we roll, we got to know that he's got visual reference. But we've got the seats.
We'll have that.
Okay.
Just tell us to get in
The helicopter and we'll mark.
I'm not coming until you mark the snow because I can't land without the snow being marked.
Look, dude, I know that. It's the least of my problems right now. It's very easy to put marks in the snow. We just need the
helicopter up, all right?
We got it. The seats are coming out right now, man. We're getting ready to go. So take a deep breath and we'll be up there shortly and we'll go scoop these guys up. No worries.
All right, see you soon.
All right.
Hey, we're not robots. I mean, the gravity of these ARS missions, it weighs on everybody. And then you add altitude onto it, and it takes a toll on everyone, physically, emotionally. And it's hard to keep yourself in check, but we have to maintain focus.
Move it up, man. We gotta go now. Let's roll.
Although the weather in the Khumbu Valley has cleared for now,
Tower's clear. Wind is pushing in fast.
massive clouds looming on the horizon mean Jeff and Captain Andrew will have to move quickly if they don't want to get trapped at base camp or higher.
The beauty of this is there's lots of different valleys that branch off, right? So we find one that's clear and hit on it. Always got to help somewhere, right? Well, not always.
With two critical patients waiting at 21,000 feet, Jeff and Captain Andrew fly directly to Camp 2.
Even with good reference, it's going to be tricky.
It's really tough to land in a snowy basin with high overcast and flat lights. It really takes away your references as a pilot and you can't see how high off the ground you are. How am I going to land?
Did you use people on the ground for reference? I need more people.
You've already got everything stacked against you as a pilot trying to land on Everest there at Camp 2.
I think we can get on. You're gonna look behind us and tell me how bad the blowing snow is, alright? Copy. I got 1 meter. I can't see anything.
Jeff and Captain Andrew Gutzel are attempting to land at Camp 2 to pick up two critical patients in dire need of medical attention. But flat light and lack of reference have turned the landing into a dangerous and tricky maneuver.
Even with good reference, it's going to be tricky. They haven't stopped that. There's nothing here for you.
It's really tough to land in a snowy basin. It really takes away your references and you can't see how high off the ground you are.
You're going to look behind us and tell me how bad the blowing snow is, alright? Copy. I got 1 meter. I got half a meter. I got on. Nice work, Cap.
Una Prestholt, the Norwegian climber, is the first patient to be loaded. She has spent longer at 21,000 feet, suffering from altitude illness.
She was obviously affected by altitude. She was pretty slow moving.
Now Captain Andrew can use the Sherpas to provide reference as he attempts to take off. He is also battling the thin air at 21,000 feet, which robs his helicopter of power. Safely off the ground, focus can turn to the patient.
You hold on, I'll examine you at base camp.
And the weather.
We will land down here now, but I just want one person. Just one. I want a bit more power up my sleeve. We've got the weather coming in down the valley, so we've got to think about that.
The weather is building down valley. Captain Andrew must depart now to get the sick Sherpa down and not get trapped at Camp 2.
You had a headache, you had nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and it was bad, huh? They gave you the medicine that you needed, but what's going to be the best for you is obviously going down, right? Thousands of feet going down. Hopefully we can get out of here because the clouds and the weather is moving up. Scary stuff.
Several climbing Sherpas have marked out the landing zone, allowing Captain Andrew to easily land on the second approach. He'll need every second as the weather continues to build around base camp.
First thing I think is, is the weather gonna hold? Because if I get up there and the weather closes in, if I shut that thing off at Camp 2, it's probably not gonna start again.
Got a copy, Captain. Talk to me.
The Sherpa guy's unconscious. I'm not sure if he's alive or not.
He's unconscious. Everybody back away. Get ready.
The weather's pushing in. Time to go.
With weather closing in around base camp, Captain Andrew must quickly pick up Jeff and Una and head down valley.
When I have an unconscious person coming down from 22,000 feet, that's real deal.
With an unconscious patient, Jeff must race the weather to quickly assess what's wrong. Step 1. A pulse oxygen reading.
I open up the door and this kid's laying in the back flat. Immediately, I go into life-saving mode. I know Andrew wants to take off now, but I'd like to get IV access before we take off in case he crashed so I could intervene.
Gotta
go, Jeff. Clouds coming in.
So hey, first I need a fresh O2 tank. This one's toast. And I need to get access to his other arm. He's absolutely frozen and I just can't find a vein. Andrew, man, how we doing out there?
The wind's coming hard.
Jeff rechecks the patient's pulse oxygen reading.
So this kid's coming to life a little bit, but we need to get him and Una down. As long as they hover around 17,600 feet, the altitude's gonna continue to have a negative effect on them. Get her in, get her in. Let's go, let's go.
We're gonna have to wait till the weather calms down. It's pretty terrible.
The ARS has managed treacherous conditions to pull two critical patients down from Camp 2 at 21,000 feet. A brief stop at base camp to assess an unconscious Sherpa has left Jeff, Andrew, and their two patients at the mercy of the weather.
We've got the two patients down. We're at base camp now, but the weather's come in. And we're just going to stay put.
Yeah, it's socked in, man. Can't see anything. You can see about 300 feet, 400 feet. It's socked in all around.
How we doing there, Jeff?
Pretty winded.
My oxygen's getting reasonably low.
The altitude is also affecting Jeff and Captain Andrew, who are not acclimatized to spend extended time at 17,600 feet. If they do not leave base camp soon, they will begin to feel the negative effects of altitude.
The pressure is on. We were sitting there. There's a guy in the back really struggling just to stay alive.
You gotta stay with me.
The patients are critical, and the lack of oxygen is becoming a problem for me and Jeff. As soon as we get a safe opening in the weather, we need to go.
I can see a bit of light over towards Purmarine. Okay, Jeff, let's make a try. Copy that. We're gonna give it a try. We're gonna give it a try. Comfortable? Comfortable. We're gonna get it. Ready? I said Roger. Alright, a bit of power this thing here. It's good. Sort of right down belly here now, eh? Do whatever you gotta do. Alright, looks good down in the valley below, so we're going to get down below the cloud here. But, it's not a bit of smoothest ride of your life, I'm sorry. I'll take it.
Captain Andrew is able to navigate through the clouds and make it safely to Lukla, where Jeff can finally perform a full assessment of the other patient. Both patients show rapidly improved vital signs and alertness after descending over 8,000 feet from base camp to the oxygen-rich air of Lukla.
What's your name? Saeed? Sange. Sange. Okay. Yeah, his chest is beating very fast. Yeah. His lungs sound like they're sick as well over here on this side. And his heart sounds okay. But we'll send him back down to Kathmandu and he can see a doctor down there. When we put him in the helicopter, they thought he was dead because he was unconscious at first. He was very sick. So once again, you see the magic of descending 3,000 vertical feet. For now, they're out of immediate danger. Now they just need to rest and let their bodies recover. Helicopters are an absolute game changer.
I'm back and alive. That was scary. I've been here 5 or 6 times, so it was tough up there. Never experienced that before.
Okay.
It was a harrowing few days for the ARS, but the team's dedication to the mission will ensure that all their patients go home to their families alive. Antibiotics and prolonged rest at a lower elevation cleared Sangay Sherpa's chest of the infection that almost cost him his life. He plans to continue as a climbing Sherpa next year. A week convalescing in Kathmandu removed any traces of haste, and Ahmed Katecha returned to his family in England. He continues his charity work in Nepal and will return next year, just not to climb Everest. After 3 days of medicine and rest in the Lukla hospital, Nima Sherpa walked back to his village, where he continued to recover from pneumonia. When he gets older, he plans on joining his father on the mountain as a climbing Sherpa. Una Presthout recovered almost immediately from AMS after descending to Kathmandu. Her harrowing experiences at Camp 2 have not slowed her desire to climb.
She lives to fight another day. High five. Be good.
Yeah.
Maybe see you next year.
I'm gonna do Everest again. We'll come back next year. Yeah.
This season on Everest Air.
If you're calling us, you need help.
It's very awkward for a rescue team to receive a call knowing that if you say no, 2 people will die. Saying yes, 6 people could die.
I need to get her down to the hospital. These are big boy mountains, man.